against the sink, grey eyes studying me over the top of his cup. I rubbed my palms down my dressing gown and gingerly picked up the envelope. No writing, a red wax seal on the flap. I fetched a knife, one free of butter, honey, or even a fleck of dust, and edged it under the seal. The paper inside, thrice folded, was similarly blessed with red. An embossed seal, a strip of meaningless ribbon, a second embossing down below, a formal signature. It began, Randall Thomas, by divine providence, Archbishop of Canterbury, Prince of all England and Metropolitan, to our well-beloved in Christ, Sherlock Escott Leslie Holmes of the parish of St. Simon and St. Jude in the county of Sussex, a bachelor, and Mary Judith Russell of the parish of All Saints, Oxford, a spinster, grace and health, whereas ye are, as it is alleged, resolved to proceed to the solemnization of true and lawful matrimony, and that you greatly desire that the same may be solemnized in the face of the church, we being willing that these your honest desires may the more speedily obtain a due effect, and to the end, therefore, that this marriage may be publicly and lawfully solemnized in the parish church of St. Wolfstan's in Northamptonshire, by the rector, vicar, or curate thereof, without the publication or proclamation of the banns of matrimony, provided there shall appear no impediment of kindred or alliance, or of any other lawful cause, nor any suit commenced in any ecclesiastical court to bar or hinder the proceeding of the said matrimony. There was quite a bit more of this sparsely punctuated prose, with a formal signature at the bottom, Randall Cantor. I blinked. After a moment, I removed my spectacles and rubbed my tired eyes before resuming the attempt, but it would seem that the problem was less in my vision than in my comprehension. The Archbishop of Canterbury? I said weakly. He owed me a favour. Several, come to that. The parish of All Saints, Oxford? He thought it convenient, being the university church, and I imagined you might appreciate the designation. The church often gave the name All Saints to churches built on previous sites of pagan, or occasionally Jewish, importance. Had I told him that? God only knew. St. Wolfstan's? Ah, yes. That ate up 2 or 3 of the favours owed, since it's not exactly the correct name for the chapel. Or the location, assuming this was his family chapel. Holmes, what is this? I should have thought it obvious, he said in surprise, and leant over me to tap the line that followed the chapel name, or misname. No banns, no public notice, and since the family, that is, Mycroft and I, appoint the chapel's rector, we can take whomever we like along for the purpose, and issue the appointment then and there. However, may I draw your attention to the addendum on the side? His long fingers swiveled the elaborate form 90 degrees, so I could read aloud the print. This license to continue in force only 3 months from the date hereof. July was 5 months off, not 3. And also please note the emendation to the time of day. The formal hand that had filled in our names, our details, and the chapel designation had also struck through the word forenoon to replace it with evening. Between the hours of 8 and 12 in the evening. Mycroft has arranged a special train for 6 tonight. I put Billy in charge of finding Watson and delivering him to Euston by 1:45. I shall somehow get Mrs. Hudson there at the same time, although I may need to dose her with laudanum in the process. I shan't be there. I will take an earlier train up so as to examine the ground before the, guests arrive. My eyes had fixed on one particular line. Resolved to proceed to the solemnization of